We welcome those of you watching on YouTube on our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, where you get the show commercial-free every afternoon. There is so much to get to over the next 60 minutes. We will be joined by our friend Sam Yarnell. Bill Bender is here from the Sporting News, who talks football for them. Robert Davidman and David McKillips will be here, the CEOs of Topgolf and the World Series of Golf, to preview big satellite events going on in that this weekend. Talk about that, how you can get involved, show you where some of the locations are. If you love golf and you love poker, you've got to check out the World Series of Golf. It is very cool. Very interesting concept and a take on golf involving our friends over at Topgolf. So that'll be very cool. We'll check that out a little later on in the show as well. There is odds and ends with Anis Cantor making a fool of himself. Wyndham Clark making his case for Player of the Year honors on the PGA Tour. But we start things out, as we always do, on this Monday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And the big story is presented by the World Series of Golf.
Golf. Poker. One champion. The World Series of Golf. Every shot is a bet. Every hole is a hand. Anyone can win. Play for a shot at $250K. Register today at WSG.golf.
Yep, the World Series of Golf going on this weekend. Some satellite events that you're going to want to check out if you want to try and qualify for your $10,000 entry. If you win this sort of regional event that they're doing at 30 different locations across 11 states at Topgolfs around the country, if you can best everybody, I think the max is 128 players, you can best everybody, you win a $10,000 entry into the World Series of Golf. How cool is that? Scan the QR code on your screen or go to WSG.golf and use my promo code SportsWrap for your chance to get a great discount on your entry this weekend. And again, that just got to scan that QR code on the screen and go check it out. All right, without any further delay, the big story today. And the big story has to be the news coming out of Cleveland, where they have decided to go with Deshaun Watson as the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns for Week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road in Jacksonville. I do not understand this move at all. I am trying to make sense of it. I've been processing it. But the only thing I can come up with is twofold. One, they figure, let's get the Deshaun Watson stuff out of our system early in the year. And if it doesn't go well, we can go to Shedeur Sanders. We can say, hey, we gave it our best. We tried with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, we're going to owe him all this money, but he's going to ride pine for the rest of the year unless somebody in their idiotic wisdom wants to trade for him. That's one. The other is, are the Cleveland Browns tanking for Arch Manning? That is a possibility as well that we have to sort of evaluate here. We live in an age where tanking is rewarded. But it's hard to tank. You could tank and still not get the number 1 overall pick. And the Cleveland Browns could be trying to tank, and they have not been beyond tanking before, to try and get Arch Manning. If you missed it this weekend, Deshaun Watson was terrible. I think he was like 5 of 12 for 80 yards. He threw an interception in a Browns loss. And Shedeur Sanders actually looked much better playing with the first stringers, no doubt. But still, he's looked better and looks like a more viable option, even if you believe either option is bad for this team. He still looked like the more viable of the two bad options that Todd Monken had to work with this year. Now, that being said, Deshaun Watson, after the game, going out and speaking his mind and saying he had no regrets about deciding to come to Cleveland, even after he bashed Cleveland fans for booing him during his meager performance on Saturday. Even with all that having been done and said, Todd Monken said, hey, I don't care if Deshaun Watson goes after the fans, it's not going to impact our decision as to whether or not he's the starter. And we saw that on Monday morning when he decided to say that Deshaun Watson's going to be the starter. But what does this mean for Shedeur Sanders? And I think that's a very interesting question. If you are Shedeur Sanders, what are you thinking of when you see this situation playing out the way that it has? They gave you the keys to the car last year. You proved you could drive it without wrecking it. Not saying he was great, not saying he tore up the town, but he certainly showed the signs that with further seasoning, this meal might actually come out okay. Even as a 5th round pick that a lot of people thought could have been drafted higher. But now the Browns have made the decision to go away from him. And how does that impact him mentally if and when they decide to go back to him at some point this season, which they will inevitably do, either because of injury or because of ineffectiveness? That's the next part of this. There's one other thing I want to throw in, though. And it's on the Arch Manning. It's the tanking for Manning thing. College athletes now have more control than they have ever had before because of NIL. And Arch Manning still has a bunch of years of eligibility that he can continue playing at Texas. If the Browns get the number 1 overall pick and make it clear they're going to draft Arch Manning could just say, I'm not going to make myself eligible for the draft. I'll stay in college another year. I'll make the money via NIL. I don't have to come out. And that's something everybody's missing in this. Then there's the option of doing what Eli Manning did and what John Elway has done before him and say, I'm not going to play for you. Forget it. Don't draft me. I will never play for you in Cleveland. And would it shock anybody if Arch Manning did it? Eli did it. You think Arch Manning wouldn't? The Browns don't hold all the cards that they think they do in that situation, which is why tanking for anybody that you might think is the future at the top of this draft isn't necessarily the solution. It could be part of a further problem for the Cleveland Browns. That's the big story. We're coming back. Bill Bender and Sam Yarnell talk NFL with me next. All right, I've had my say in the big story. Sam Yarnell will be here in a couple of minutes. Talk about the Ashton Genty news, which is good news for the Raiders, after a lot of us thought it could be something much worse. Bill Bender's jumping in and lending us a hand because there is breaking news today in the NFL, and that is after a weekend where we all walked away thinking there's no way Deshaun Watson could be the starting quarterback for the Browns in week 1 this year. Deshaun Watson's been named starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns for week 1. Bill Bender, help me make sense. Other than all the money he's owed, help me make sense about how this is the right decision for the Cleveland Browns, whose fan base has to be pulling out their hair right now.
Well, I don't understand. You know, I didn't understand the press conference over the weekend where he went right into the Browns fans, which is the one fan base you don't want to do that with. I mean, there's 31 other ones that you don't want to do it with, but you're talking to the one that hasn't had the quarterback they've wanted since returning to the NFL in 1999 with the brief exception of Baker Mayfield. I honestly thought I was trying to do damage control from that. I don't think you could cut him. I do think they could have buried him as a backup and just said, you know, out of sight, out of mind, we'll start Shedeur, we'll live with the consequences. I am a little, on a scale of 1 to 10 surprised, Jason, probably about a 6.
I can't understand the logic behind this. You know, teams, I always say teams don't know they suck early on in the year. And you had an opportunity, if you were the Browns, to try and jump out early on in the year, get some momentum behind Shedeur Sanders. The bigger question I ask of you, Bill Bender, is if you're Shedeur Sanders and you're seeing this, what's going through your mind? You know a little bit more about him, obviously, from his days in the collegiate ranks. You know, he had the reins sort of last year late in the season, certainly showed some signs, but we know he needs to grow a little bit as a quarterback. If you're Shedeur Sanders seeing this, I just wonder what it does to him.
Yeah, I think it'll continue to be a story. The good news for Cleveland is their first 2 games are on the road. So that, again, you run the risk of week one, your starter, imagine the first couple 3-and-outs, booing him off the field in week one. So Shedeur, I think he will, if he's learned, and this is a maturity test, and I think he'll pass. I think he'll be, well, I think. Now, I think versus what I know, we'll see. But I think he's kind of the good guy in this situation because they're going to want to see him play eventually and grow as a quarterback. I think Shedeur has taken a lot from the draft process, from a lot of anonymous sources, questioning his football IQ and his ability to, process defenses and those kind of things. And he's done as best he could in Cleveland. So long term, I don't know what this means for his future, but up here in Ohio, man, this is a Monday morning when you're talking about a Cleveland quarterback mess. We're used to it.
Yeah, and like I said, I just wonder, from a mental standpoint. Again, he's built tough. He's Deion's kid. He's obviously got, I think some of the mental mindset to sort of navigate through this, but I'm going to be fascinated to watch that dynamic play out for as long as Watson is the starting quarterback, which we obviously don't think will be all that long given the body of work that we've seen from him. Bill Bender will join us later in the show. We'll get some college football insights with him. Thanks, Bill.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Then there are the Raiders, who had this injury to Ashton Jeanty yesterday, who's expected to be a huge part of their offense and what they do running the football, and all the reporting around it. Ashton Jeanty injured in practice on Sunday, and a lot of people thought it could be a season-ending injury. It could be an ACL. It could be an MCL. It was some sort of knee. And it may not wind up being that was the case. Then you have the reporting on the Ed Oliver story, and you start to look at all this and say, reporting in general around the NFL right now is certainly something that leaves a lot to the imagination, doesn't it? Sam Yarnell is here, our good friend who hangs out with us every day on the show. Sam, let's talk about the Ashton Jeanty situation. Let me get your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty, because the knee-jerk reaction yesterday when he walks off the field, the practice field for the Raiders, with an injury, a leg injury, was, oh my God, he's ACL and this. Now we find out it's an ankle sprain. And it seems like he's going to be okay. But still, for the Raiders, it had to be one of those moments where you're like, oh no, not again. This is the way our season's going to begin. But it looks like Jeanty's going to be okay, Sam.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up because, Jason, it was one of many examples we had over the weekend of awful reporting. We have to do something about these NFL reporters. I'm sorry. It's gone way too far because the person who put out, oh, they were all kneeling in a prayer circle and it's almost assuredly an ACL, was a blogger, right? Was a blogger. The same way the person who put out the ludicrous story about Ed Oliver over the weekend is a blogger, right? And this is a weird soapbox that I, as a classically trained journalist, have had to stand on this particular show in the very recent past, but we have to do something about this NFL media. This Tony Farmar clown who's putting out who's a 49ers blogger doing fake investigative reporting about a Western New York football team all the way across the country, right? And I'm sorry to say it draws back to the Kyle Shanahan thing, right? You look at the Ed Oliver situation, and I hope that some people can take some solace in what happened with Kyle Shanahan, right? There is always a reason that journalists don't tell a story right when they can. There is something called journalistic integrity that still needs to exist in the world. And clearly it's fading and fading and fading. And it's not just because of things that are happening in sports, and I understand that. But it continues and continues and continues to fade. The Ashton Jeanty situation was a micro example of it. The Ed Oliver situation was a macro example of it. And it all plays in to everything we've been talking about for a month at this point with reporting around the NFL. NFL reporters need to grow up. The NFL needs to get stricter about who they let report on their league. And my goodness, we gotta stop believing everything we read on the internet.
Yeah, the Ed Oliver thing is I was having this conversation with my husband yesterday because I said, because he's also comes from a journalism background and communications, and he went to school for it and all that stuff. And I said, I'm slightly torn on how that whole thing has played out, because there are people that will argue, no, you're a journalist, you're supposed to report it, you're supposed to get out there, and if you have the story, you're supposed to put it out there. But
that's not right, though. The media code of ethics, a journalist's code of ethics says you're supposed to report on things in a way that does no harm. That does objective harm. That is unnecessary.
Is it in the public interest? That's ultimately the question you have to ask. Is it in the public interest? It's something a lot of people will debate. Sam, always appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. I have been looking forward to this all weekend. How about combining the two things that go together like peanut butter and jelly more than anything in this world? Golf and poker. How many of you know somebody who plays golf that plays poker, or somebody who plays poker that plays golf? The two things go hand in hand, which is why this is a great time to talk about the World Series of Golf. Robert Davidman is the CEO of the World Series of Golf. David McKillips is the CEO of Top Golf, a place that I have frequented plenty over the years, and tried not to embarrass myself. Gentlemen, I appreciate you both being here. The natural question, and I'll start with you, David, on this one. What made this, when you two guys get together and meet up in a room or in a virtual call somewhere, what made you go, oh my God, this makes so much sense?
The synergy was super easy, and Jason, thanks for having us on and talking about poker and golf, and you're in Las Vegas, so it's a perfect platform to talk about. But I'll tell you what, if you think about the experience at Top Golf, we've got golfers and we've got social golfers and we've got just social users coming out, and what do they love more than anything else? They love to compete. They love to have fun. And when Robert and I got together, just after I started a couple months ago, I said, what do you think about this? And it's accessible. We've got this now in 11 states, 30 venues, inviting golfers to come in and have a great time. And Robert will go into a lot more detail on the specifics of how it's played, but what a great backdrop than Top Golf.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Robert, I'd love to hear from you. For people that may not know about the World Series of Golf and are being educated on this, tell me exactly what's going on this upcoming weekend and how it fits into the larger picture.
So thank you for having us, Jason. So the game itself is poker, but instead of using cards, it's using your golf shots. And it makes it very exciting because the best golfer, it's not the best golfer that wins, it's actually the best player. So you really have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. So you might not play every shot, but you will play, and you play to win. And it gets very exciting. Top Golf brings the venue. We're going to bring the excitement.
All right. Tell people exactly how it works from from an app standpoint, how people get involved. Give me the details for people that are watching at home.
Very simple. First thing first, go to WSG.golf. Make sure to enter promo code SportsWrap.
There you go.
There you go. And when you get to WSG.golf, you'll see the Top Golf Series. Register now. Seats are filling fast. Okay? You register, and then you will get the app. The app's available at scorecard.wsg.golf. When you get that app, all you do is show up on September 1st. You will scan a QR code. Then you'll be directed to the bay that you're playing in, and then you will play your tournament. At Top Golf, you're going to be playing a virtual course. So I believe we're playing Spyglass Hill, the 9 holes, the first 9 holes of Spyglass Hill. You're playing 9 holes of golf. You're going to be given a bankroll of chips. Those chips, every hole, you're going to ante, and then there's 2 rounds of betting. Whoever wins the hole wins the pot. At the end of 9 holes, whoever has the biggest bankroll moves on to round 2. Round 3 and 4, the final winner at each location will then go to Scottsdale, Arizona on October 2nd to compete for the one final prize, which is a $10,000 entry into the World Series of Golf Championship to win $250,000. And the $10,000 championship entry is sponsored by Lotto.com, and they are very excited to be presenting the winner with this. But even better, if you win your venue, every venue winner is going to win a Citizen Watch.
Oh.
So even if you don't win the final, you're still going to walk away with something very, very cool. And there's lots of really cool people coming to play. So just so you know, in some of the venues, you're going to have people like Reggie Slater, Lazar Hayward, Carolyn Moose from the WNBA, and others that are coming to different venues. So make sure that you register because you're going to get to play with some really, really cool people.
David, how does this fit into the overall sort of message and plan? I know you said you just took over recently, and I knew that. How does this fit into the overall scheme of what Topgolf is trying to do right now?
Well, I'll tell you, it fits perfectly. So, my vision is to have Topgolf not only be the place that you're going to play golf, but really the ultimate sports, entertainment, and golf destination. So competitions like this, contests like this, just bring the excitement. It gives you one more reason to come out. And Robert's put together a fantastic plan. We love to be the venue of choice here, and to have all the venue participants playing against each other, and then ultimately going to Scottsdale for a big tournament. It's going to be great. And each venue is going to have different players, of course, different levels of excitement, and we're really excited who's going to show up September 1st.
Is this something you could see expanding beyond this as you move forward? Because I know it's at 30 locations, 11 states. You obviously have a lot more locations than that. We have the list of locations up on the screen so people could see where their nearest venue might be. But is this something, if this goes well, is it something you could see expanding?
Yeah, ultimately the plan is to take this year as a test model and then expand it over the next couple of years. So we're really excited to see what the reaction is going to be, not only from the guests and the players, but just the overall market and how it feeds into the big tournament that Robert's putting on.
How difficult is it from a technical perspective to sort of integrate this into what you already do?
It's actually pretty easy. So our tech teams work together, and what Robert had mentioned before, it's all driven by a QR code that is unique to that particular bay that opens up the game that for the foursome that's going to be playing in that bay.
Robert, you've mentioned, over the years, the World Series of Golf has had a lot of really cool people associated with it. Give me some of the names that have been associated. 'Cause you were saying some of the great poker players that have been involved in this over the years.
Yeah, we've had Daniel Negreanu, we've had Phil Ivey, we've had Eric Lindgren play from the poker side, we've had Ray Romano and some others that have played. The interesting part about the World Series of Golf is that it's an invite-only event. And what we're doing with Topgolf is giving the everyday golfer an opportunity to get into something that is so exclusive. And that's what makes it exciting about being able to partner with Topgolf. Because otherwise, unless you're invited, you can't come to play. Now you have that opportunity at Topgolf.
And a $10,000 entry fee on the line for people to come and play. It's a lot like the World Series of Poker in that regard, where if you win a satellite event, you can win your way into the main event at the World Series of Poker. I got more questions for David McKillips of Topgolf, Robert Davidman of the World Series of Golf, as we continue on this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Talking about the World Series of Golf, teaming with Topgolf. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bummed that I don't get to participate in this, because golf and poker are my two, other than bowling, golf and poker are like my two favorite things in the world. So we got to bring this thing to Vegas next year. All right, David?
We can certainly look to do that. But, look, we're in 11 states, 30 venues. But overall, Topgolf has 103 venues. We just opened up in Madison, Wisconsin. So, this is a test period this year. We'll look to expand next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how you do that. David, golf has spent years trying to become younger, faster, more accessible. I know you're still, getting your arms around this thing at Topgolf. Is something like this evidence that the future of growing golf isn't necessarily changing traditional golf, but creating different ways to experience it?
Absolutely. And if you look at who's playing golf, and golf has never been hotter, right? There's 49 million people that are playing golf, of which about 30 million of those are municipal players. And if you keep looking at that, of which about 17 million people are coming to Topgolf, and they love it. So I look at Topgolf as I onboarded on just about 6 months ago. I understand the responsibility of Topgolf and the whole ecosystem of the game. And, we're really the gateway of golf. And we've got partnerships on the youth side with Youth on Course and First Tee. We're looking at inviting ladies out for, a big ladies event, which is the fastest growing segment of golf, as you know. But I think for Topgolf to remain and continue to be super relevant among that avid golfer, we need more competitions, we need more tournaments, and this is something that our guests and our golfers are screaming for. So I'm really excited to be delivering the World Series of Golf. This is just the first of many new opportunities that we're going to bring in Topgolf.
Robert, if we're sitting here 3 years from now, say, and this partnership has been wildly successful, what does it look like for you?
So I think what it looks like in 3 years is, a much broader field and an opportunity to do even more events, such as the championship, leading up to the championship on green grass, but giving Topgolf players an ability to enter into those tournaments and to win their way. Just like in the World Series of Poker, you play in a satellite, Topgolf has the venues. And it also gives people the opportunity to go out to Topgolf on a regular basis and play the game. Yeah. They don't need to play in the tournament in order to make the game exciting. Topgolf has a plethora of games in the Top Tracer system. And it's just really, really cool to be able to say, hey, now you can go out and actually play this when you go and play at Topgolf.
Robert, you have a background in both poker and golf, so I think you're uniquely qualified to answer this question. Poker became a television phenomenon partly because viewers could understand the strategy and sweat every decision. Do you believe World Series of Golf has that same kind of TV DNA?
Oh, absolutely. I think what's lacking in golf on TV today is sort of that excitement. You have great announcers that try to fill the air with the excitement when there's a lull in the action. But what the World Series of Golf does is it makes every shot matter.
David, everybody's trying to get creative these days and trying to figure out, companies like yours are trying to get creative in how to get the most bang for their buck in terms of where their marketing dollars are going and sort of getting the exposure they need to be successful. Topgolf is probably no different in that regard. Talk to me about, from the entertainment side and from the marketing side, from the creative side, how something like this fits into your overall plan for continuing to expose people to Topgolf.
Well, I'll tell you, the vision is really to reposition Topgolf as the ultimate sports, entertainment, and golf destination. And we're doing that. Last week, we just announced we're putting uprights into nearly 60 venues that you can hit for football season, right? And we've got a special football game. So that checks the box on sports. Plus, we've got the Jumbotrons, you've got screens in your bays, and we've upgraded the experience to have My Bay, My Way, where you can control the experience and personalize your each bay experience. So watching football, hitting it through the uprights, that's from a sports perspective. From an entertainment perspective, we're all in, from arcades to trivia to bingo nights to all the things that you would see at kind of a traditional country club, right? Those are the things that we're bringing. And then lastly, from the golf side, our golfers are telling us we want more competitions, we want more unique things that maybe we don't find at the green grass level. So this is something that is great for Topgolf. We don't have to worry about weather. We're going to be open all the time. Our bay hosts are going to be ready to serve cold beers and to add new content that we haven't had before. We haven't done a World Series of Golf event. So this is really, really unique. And for us to be successful in the world of out-of-home entertainment, we need to continue to bring creative ideas to drive multi-visitation. And this is certainly something we're going to do.
In the last 30 seconds, David, you come from an entertainment background. So how much are you leaning on that in concert with, and I see all the golf stuff behind you, obviously you're into golf as well. How much are you leaning on that when you talk about making this a sports entertainment destination?
We've got plenty of space at Topgolf to meet the social user where exactly they want. They just want to come out and have fun, and maybe they can't hit balls, but they're having a great time. But then you got 40% of the audience that are coming in. They're either avid golfers or, most importantly, they're beginning golfers. And it could be youth, it could be females, it could be beginning gentlemen. So there's plenty of space for us to live in both worlds and serve the entertainment and the golf side. And I think that's what's really exciting. But the pressure's on us to create new news and creativity. And World Series of Golf is an example of exactly that fits both.
Topgolf CEO David McKillips, CEO of the World Series of Golf Robert Davidman. I can't thank you both enough for coming on and talking about this. And again, this weekend, go and check it out. The World Series of Golf at one of these locations. You see it on the screen. Go and check it out. Get involved. Get the app. Use my promo code SportsWrap as well for a cool discount. Guys, I wish you the best of luck this weekend and look forward to talking down the line.
Thanks so much, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
We'll wrap it up with some odds. It ends 10 minutes from now. Let's talk some college football. We'll be doing it every Monday here on the show with this guy, Bill Bender. This guy. Look at this guy. I said he looked like he had to go to court today. No, he said he just had a bigger TV appearance than mine that required him to get dressed. It's big boy TV. We're not going to say where, but he had big boy TV today. And the reason I'm not saying where you were on is because that's the one, literally, that is the one and only national news network that has not invited me on.
Oh.
I have been on CNN, Fox News, MS Now. What's the other one that's the crazy right-leaning one? I can't remember the name of it, but I've been on OAN. I've been at Newsmax. I've done all of them. The only one is the one that invited you on today. So that's why they're not inviting me on, because you're on with them. They don't need me. So Bill Bender, I'm holding it against you.
Well, there's still time for me to get to a court hearing, but I'm going to try to, not get a speeding ticket today or anything like that.
Please,
but speaking of court,
yes,
I do write about college football, so maybe I should get to the court hearing.
Maybe you should. This story involving Daquan Wright is just insane. He's going to go play college football now after getting signed as an undrafted free agent and not making the team. He's going to go play for LSU. This is the wild, wild west that we talk about every week on the show that is college football. We knew it could happen given the court ruling that came down last week, but still, when you actually see it, how shocking is it to you?
It's still bizarro world material when you see Browns tight end enters the transfer portal, partially because the Browns are in the headline, partially because it's transfer portal in college football. But, I think it's all about timing. I've been thinking about this all weekend where 5 for 5 took effect on June 23rd. One way this could have been avoided, whatever the exact date the NFL training camps opened, they should have given those players that had already gone to NFL teams, they say, okay, 5 for 5 is in effect. You have until this date to make your decision. It's open, but we're closing it right here. We get that it's, expedited and all that, but you have a decision to make that you would have made this decision in March anyway. And I think a lot of this could be avoided. I do think long-term 5 for 5 is going to be a good thing, but this is the clunky part when you enact something like that where, 30-plus athletes are challenging this right now.
And what does it mean for LSU to get somebody of Wright's, status this late in the game? When you sort of look ahead to the season and what LSU has ahead of it.
Well, you can't pin this all on Lane. Why wouldn't Lane Kiffin do this, right? Like, you add a tight end who averaged 16 yards a catch to an offense that's built with Sam Levitt, a transfer quarterback, and I believe 6 of the top 8 receivers on their depth chart are transfers. So you're trying to build that chemistry when that's going to take time no matter what. But when you add somebody who played well for Lane to that, and think of his value decision. What is your value decision? You either come back, put another year on film, potentially be a really good player for LSU, or get cut in 2 weeks, or make the team, even worse, maybe, in Cleveland right now with all the goings on with their quarterback. So I think it's an interesting decision. I think Wright is one of A few. This isn't like a widespread problem.
Right.
It's only going to impact a couple players.
It's just going to be so weird when he, if his name is announced in the draft next year, that he's going to be going back to the NFL after having an opportunity there. All right. I want to get your thoughts on week 0 of I can't believe we have football to talk about already, Bill Bender. Some interesting games this week. North Carolina's on the schedule. Of course, the big one that a lot of people, I guess, are focused on is with the one ranked opponent out there with USC and San Jose State. What jumps off the pages for you when you look at week 0?
Belichick. I mean, we'll start there. And do they compete? Last year it was a 48-14 sledgehammer on Labor Day night that we all huddled around our TVs and watched. And I'm wondering if they're back in the national spotlight. This will be the largest spotlight they have this season, other than when they play Notre Dame in Chapel Hill. So they do need to compete. I think there's some other gems on the game. We'll tune into USC and Lincoln Riley in week 1, new defensive coordinator. They're going to beat San Jose State. NC State plays Virginia. Not a bad game. And then I've been saying this all week. The gem is UNLV-Memphis.
Yeah, right here, baby.
Huge game, 10 o'clock at night. Could have some serious impact on the Group of 6 playoff picture. So I think that's really a game I'm going to keep an eye on. We'll stay up late and watch, and probably be texting you at some point if Dan Mullen looks like he had something with Jackson Arnold.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about. In the final 90 seconds here, because fans in Las Vegas are kind of excited about this team, and Dan Mullen has done a really nice job sort of in the slow build here over the last couple of years in what he is doing. How legit do you think UNLV is this year?
It's an opportunity. Boise State's out of the Mountain West. Not to say, those two go back and forth. Probably go back and forth for this playoff berth, honestly. I think Dan has a lot of personality. And the fact that he didn't take jobs at the SEC or the Big Ten, especially in the last cycle, tells me that he's there. He's going to be there. And, I like their chances. I like their setup. They got a good stadium. They've done the portal well. He's got a quarterback. I like their running back as well. This is a test against Memphis. Memphis rebuilding a little bit. But like I said, if they win this game, they'll be that team that maybe can push into the top 25. I do think it will be between them and Boise for the playoff berth.
Bill Bender does a great job at the Sporting News covering all things football. He gave us a hand earlier in the show as well on the Deshaun Watson story, which sort of blew up a lot of what we had planned to talk about today in that second segment of the show. Bill, I always appreciate you. Look forward to doing this throughout the season, talking college football and even a little bit of NFL when we need it. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Tomorrow on the show, Andrew Brandt, who I'm actually talking to today, but we'll have it on tomorrow's show. Andrew Brandt, former Packers VP, the author of the book Smarter About Sports, longtime contributor in the media on NFL fronts. He was an agent. He's played all sides of the fence. Can't wait to talk about the NFL with him. That'll be on tomorrow's show. You'll definitely want to check that out. Wednesday, we got David Ardsma here talking baseball with all the pennant races, wild card chases, you name it. We'll get into all of that with him as well. Andrew Marchand scheduled to be on the show this week as well from The Athletic. Very busy week here on SportsWrap. All right, a couple of reminders before we go. The SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast, the audio version of this show, available for you Monday through Friday wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show in crystal clear audio. We encourage you to subscribe today. The SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things SportsWrap with Jason Page on the video side. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show, available for you. Commercial-free, 45 minutes, waiting there for you each day. We've also got extended conversations. We can't fit it all into the TV show. So sometimes we take those conversations, wrap them up in a nice package, and we put them on the YouTube channel, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. SportsWrap shorts are available there. We put up a bunch of those over the weekend. When something big happens in sports, we jump in on the YouTube channel with a SportsWrap short covering the top stories in sports, biggest plays, biggest games, all on the YouTube channel, SportsWrap with Jason Page. We've also got the SportsWrap website, sportswrap.tv. Very easy to remember. SportsWrap, W-R-A-P, not R-A-P. SportsWrap.tv is the place to go for all things related to the show. The aforementioned podcast, the aforementioned YouTube content, the Substack, our daily Substack, the Daily Wrap. This is made for people who just love reading about sports. We send out the newsletter every afternoon covering the top stories of the day. Sometimes we throw some columns up there as well. The SportsWrap website, sportswrap.tv. You could send us your comments there as well. Love, hate, we take it all. You hate watching, you love watching. Send it to us via the website, sportswrap.tv. And without any further delay on this Monday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Boy, what a scene last night in Chicago. In what should have been an environment where fans could have been really excited because you had a really cool game for 3 quarters, basically, between Chicago and Indiana. The fever in the sky going at it. Dejanay Carrington meeting up with Sophie Cunningham. There were enough storylines to this game last night that it didn't need this garbage. Enes Kanter. Could somebody take out the trash, please? I mean, this is getting old at this point. This whole thing with Enes Kanter. Now, that being said, and we can sit here and go after Enes Kanter on a million different levels for the way he's simply trolling and disrespecting. People will say, oh no, he's standing up for women's sports. No, he's disrespecting it when he talks about going to play in the WNBA, when he knows damn well he has no right being there. And as much as we can sit here and criticize him, and again, I think it's time to take out the trash. The WNBA should come out first thing on Monday and say he's banned for life from ever attending another WNBA game. Kathy Engelbert, stand up for your league. Do something. You cannot have this sort of exhibition, if you will, at your games on a Sunday night on NBC. You can't have it. Now, with that having been said, Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA could have nipped this in the bud 2 weeks ago when they got everybody into a room together and said, all right, let's talk about the aspect of transgender females potentially being allowed to play in the WNBA because there is no policy on it. All it says is you have to be a woman. Doesn't talk about identity. Doesn't talk about transitioning. There's no specifics at all. No meat on the bone. In a day and age where you clearly need to have meat on the bone. Otherwise, somebody like Enes Kanter or Royce White is going to take advantage of it. And Kathy Engelbert, so far, hasn't done anything about it. And the longer this lingers, the more that opportunists like Enes Kanter, who are otherwise irrelevant in the overall scheme of the sports world, are going to continue to take advantage of it. And it's going to continue to divide the sports world. And it's just a bad look for your league, Kathy Engelbert, plain and simple. Odds and ends, and what a wild weekend for Wyndham Clark, who looked basically dead to the world on Sunday about midway through his final round when Rory McIlroy, who I believe was 5 shots down going into that final round, had caught him. The two of them were 14 under going into the 16th hole. And then Rory bogeys. Wyndham Clark birdies that 16th hole. Then goes on to birdie 17 and 18. He actually wins running away at the BMW Championship in St. Louis. Now has 3 wins on the season. And you have to wonder, could Wyndham Clark be staring at Player of the Year honors for the PGA Tour? With 3 wins? I wouldn't put it past him. Tour Championship next week in Atlanta. He'll be one of the 30 competing there. That does it for us. Thanks to Bill Bender. Thank you to David McKillips and Robert Davidman, Sam Yarnell as well. We'll see you all tomorrow.